All right, good evening. I do want to make sure that we honor your time. Our plan is to just be on here 1 hour from 6 to 7. So we are going to go ahead and begin. I know people will continue to come in and that's wonderful. But we are going to begin. Before we jump in, I do want to let you know that we have a language option. So Nikadria, if you will go to the next slide. If you would like to move to the Spanish room, we have that option available for you today. And there are the instructions on the screen. You're going to click the globe icon at the bottom of the screen. It is labeled interpretation. And then you are going to select Spanish, open again, and select mute original audio. We do have a raised hand. Are you able to see that, Jonah?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So one more time, for those of you who are on tonight who would like to move to the Spanish version of this presentation, and you would like to move to the Spanish room, those instructions are on the screen. For you to be able to do that. Maria, do you want to pop on and make that announcement as well? We will give about 1 more minute for those who are still figuring out how to move to the Spanish language room. All right, we're going to go ahead and begin. I would like to welcome all of you to our literacy demonstration lesson tonight that falls under our programming known as Parent University. This is what we call a classroom academy. And so I'd first like to introduce you to the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion team. I am Angie Lee, I'm the Executive Director. We have Jeremy Jewett, who is the Director, and Jonah Ballesteros, who is a Program Specialist. We also house family engagement under the umbrella of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And so joining us tonight, we have Maria Etherton, the Family Engagement Coordinator. She will be hosting our Spanish version of the literacy demonstration lesson tonight. Alejandra Phillips, who will also be in the Spanish version of it, and Esther Yase. I also want to introduce you to a great group of colleagues. They are from the Literacy and Intervention team. When we started brainstorming our direction and our focus for Parent University, I reached out to Shauna Ballast. She is our Chief Intervention Officer, to talk about this idea for literacy demonstration lessons, and they jumped all over it. And so she and her team, Laura Moore is our K-2 Literacy Director, Carolyn Knight is our Literacy and Intervention Academic Facilitator, and then you'll see that we have several Reading Academy coaches. This is not all of our Reading Academy coaches or Shauna's team, but these are the ones who are instrumental in helping to make our literacy demonstration model possible for you all. And you'll hear what that model is going to consist of in just a second. But I do want to introduce you to that team as well, because they are instrumental in collaborating with us to make sure that what we are rolling out to you all, those quality strategies and reading, that reading information that is really going to equip you to help your children at home to support reading. I do want to make sure that I clarify, because I've had a lot of questions about this. What we are doing is not, this Parent University is not meant to be an intervention program. This is for K-2 parents. So if you're a parent from a kindergartner, first grader, second grader, and you want to learn how your child is learning to read and how you can supplement that learning at home, you're in the right place. So this is us trying to equip our parents to really be able to assist with sound practices and strategies at home with early literacy skills. And so that is why we are here. Nikadra, you can advance that. So I want to explain kind of what each Parent University Classroom Academy is going to consist of. Each month, we're going to have a Zoom demonstration lesson. That's what you're participating in tonight, that Zoom demonstration lesson. So what you're going to preview tonight, one of our reading teachers is on, and she's going to walk you through phonological awareness tonight. And each month we have a new demonstration lesson planned for you, and she'll explain more about that when she comes on. But there are other pieces to this particular program as well. Each week, if you subscribe, we are going to send out companion activity pieces. Those will be texted to you. So if you subscribe, and you can see the subscription information over to the right where it says subscribe to weekly activity text messages. If you subscribe, each week you are going to receive an activity that takes about 1 minute. It's going to come via text, and it's a way for you to apply the learning from tonight. So each week you'll get an activity to practice with your child. It's designed to take about 1 minute. You can do it anywhere you are, whether you're in the grocery store, whether you're visiting family, at the dinner table, wherever you are. It's designed for you to be able to apply with your early literacy learner. Then from that, around mid-month of each month, we are going to release a blog that's coming from our literacy department. And that blog is going to continue giving you good information about what your children are learning and engaged in with reading for that month. So again, we're starting with phonological awareness. So this month's blog is going to focus on phonological awareness. In addition, that team is researching activities around Richardson and the North Dallas area. So wherever they're having reading activities. So if something is happening at the Richardson Library, they've researched it, it's going to be included in that blog. If something is happening in some of our North Dallas libraries or anywhere they're having reading activities, that will be included in the blog. And then at the end of the month, we will release a supplemental video. And that video, again, following along with phonological awareness, will be your last introduction and extension about how to help your child build their phonological awareness skills. So every month, you're going to see those 4 components: a Zoom demonstration lesson, weekly companion activities that will be sent via text message. If you subscribe, you have to subscribe. Look at the QR code on the right of the screen. You have to subscribe to receive those. And then we'll have a mid-month blog that will post to our Parent University website. We've included the website to the right for you as well. And then you'll have an end of the month supplemental video that will also post to the Parent University website. As we go through tonight's presentation, if you would like to, if you didn't get a chance to subscribe, at this point, we're going to continue to drop those links in the chat for you to be able to access and peruse the Parent University website or subscribe to receive those weekly companion activity text messages. And so why are we here? We are here simply because we believe literacy is the single most significant skill needed to function effectively in school, in the workplace, and in society. It is vital to a successful education, a successful career, and quality of life. And that's really why we're here. Our teachers are doing a fantastic job of teaching early literacy skills and building that foundation in the classrooms with your children. But we want to make sure that you're equipped with those sound practices and that understanding of early literacy as well to supplement at home. And that is why we're here. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Nicadria. Nicadria is going to be our demonstration teacher tonight. She's a teacher at Lake Highlands Elementary with 20 years of experience in elementary education and a master's in pre-K 6 reading and literacy. And Ms. Johnson is passionate about all students having the opportunity for a strong foundation in literacy in order to develop into readers, writers, and communicators. And with that, Nicadria, I am going to turn it over to you.
Hello, hello, welcome parents. We're so glad that you're here today and taking the time out to be able to understand how to support your child in literacy. So I'm going to move forward. And the objective today is to build equity through literacy. When every child has an opportunity to have a strong foundation in reading, they're able to communicate. They're able to communicate through writing. They're able to be empowered and feel successful in school where they're able to choose a job of choice and make those decisions that are right for them. And that's why we're here today. And each month that you come back and you subscribe and you come back for new learning, we're going to help you build that and bridge that from school to home. All right, some important dates. I know you're super excited because I'm excited to be here with you. Our first date is today, which is September 13th, and our topic is phonological awareness. Our second date is October 6th, and we will be discussing read alouds. The third one is November 7th, which we will discuss phonemic awareness. And then we will end this year with December 1st with phonics and spelling. Each time, the time will be from 6 to 7. So don't forget to come out and join us. Your intended outcome today, for you to walk away, understand how to build your child's phonological awareness skills. And these skills are important because if a child can't hear those sounds, they struggle within reading and with being able to break those sounds apart. So that's why we want to make sure you have those skills when you leave today. All right, so phonological awareness. This is an auditory skill. Your child will be identifying and manipulating units of spoken language. So they're able to break those sounds and word parts apart auditorily, okay? Like you will produce sounds, name letters. And so this encompasses in your language, and it will develop their reading and their writing. And this is why we're here today, to build that foundation in literacy and help you understand that. So I'm going to go through the different components of phonological awareness so you have an understanding of how phonological awareness progress and how it's being taught in the classroom. And I'm excited to say that our K through 3rd teachers and our administrators are going through Teacher Reading Academy to understand the science of reading, because K3 is that foundation of building literacy. And it's so important for your child to walk away with strong foundational phonological awareness skills to become that beginning reader. And our wonderful curriculum that we use, Benchmark, in the district also is aligned with the science of reading. And your child is taught that throughout the curriculum every day in Richardson ISD. So let's begin. All right, here are the 5 components of phonological awareness. I want you to take a look at the chart. If you can see, it progresses. We start with the less complex activity, and it progresses to the more complex activity for your child to build those foundational literacy skills. I will go through each component and show you how you can help your child at home. Like Mrs. Lee stated earlier, quick activities that you can do in the car, in the grocery store. Again, these are auditory skills. We don't need pencil, paper. These are auditory skills that you can practice daily with your child on the go. And that's what's exciting about practicing these skills and bridging the school knowledge to home. So the first component is rhyming and alliteration. Then we build to sentence segmentation. And remember, I'm going to go through each one of these components for you today. We have our syllables, which is segmenting and blending. And as I go through, if you notice segmenting and blending, I'm going to share those important vocabulary words that you can use, that we use at school to help your child develop these skills. And I will point out those important vocabulary words like segmenting and blending and kind of explain those. And then it progressed to onsets and rhymes, which again, they will blend those and segment them. And the most complex activity that your child would have to acquire in those beginning foundational skills is phonemic awareness. And I'm excited to say that we will get a whole hour on November 7th on phonemic awareness. So come back and join us so you'll be able to understand that component as well in depth. Okay, remember, don't forget to subscribe and continue to join us as we move forward. And after each component, I will give you an opportunity to ask one question. Please type your question in the Q&A section, and they will give me the question so I can answer. So remember, you have to type your question in the Q&A. All right, let's go into rhyme. Rhyme is the ability to identify. Rhyme is an important component of phonological awareness because it lays the foundation for future spelling strategies and for understanding word families. If you see in the corner, I want to connect this to literacy. In your homes, you may have purchased Bob books. Bob books is a great example of building those rhyming words and the end goal of what we want our students to understand of rhyming words and how they build a reading and writing. And I will connect that more at the end. Okay, so rhyming words have the same sound at the end of the word. Okay, I want to make sure you understand that it's at the end. So if you look on the screen, it says pug, bug. And you'll notice me touching my ear because I want the students to understand that it's at the end of the word when you say that word, those words. Pug, bug. We hear that ug sound at the end of both words. And every foundation of the phonological awareness builds. It has a progression within. The first step of you working with your child at home is your child needs to identify the rhyme. Does pug and bug rhyme? Yes or no? Quick and easy thing we do at school, thumbs up if it rhymes, thumbs down if it doesn't rhyme. So that's the first step of understanding rhyme is can they identify, say the word pug, bug, and identify that the ending sound is the same. Okay, and then the progression of rhyme is where your child will produce a rhyme. So for example, if I say, give me a word that rhymes with pug, your child will say mug because the ending sound is the same. So that's the progression. But when we start off with identifying. That's important for you to understand that progression. So you're building and laying those wonderful foundational skills and how we work on rhyming here on elementary campuses. So then this leads to them recognizing rhyme within text, like in Bob books. A lot of the Bob books, for example, the cat sat on the mat. All of those are rhyming. They have that at word at the end, that rhyme at the end, at. And so we want your child to, when we connect it to text from auditory, they're able to identify, oh, cat has at, sat has at, mat has at. All what that change was that beginning sound. So it goes from the auditory skill to recognizing it within literature, the text, and being able to write those rhyme word families, those rhymes in their writing if they're using that in a sentence. Okay, and so the next slide, I'm going to give you just a quick parent tip that you can use at home. Remember, these activities are on the go, you know, in the car, at the grocery store, as you're cleaning, going through your daily activities. So you can use this sentence stem. Does blank and blank rhyme? So I'm just going to put some words in. Does cat and sat rhyme? They will respond yes or no, or quick thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay. And then the progression, which you want to make sure they have an understanding and they can understand and identify before moving to the progression of tell me a word that rhymes with cat. So, you know, it's important to lay that foundation and take it slow. If it take them a while to identify it, that's okay. You continue to practice that using that sentence stem that we provide. Our weekly companion activities that come out through the week will send you quick tips that you can practice, like I said, 1 minute, and you can build these great literacy K2 foundational skills. So at this time, before I go on to the next component of phonological awareness, I would like to answer a question.
I don't see any questions that
Okay.
they've put into the Q&A, and we'll continue to monitor for those and let you know.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. All right, guys, I want you to always, as we continue to move through, I am going to reference our phonological awareness chart and how it progressed. So we started with rhyme, and now we're going to go into alliteration. Okay, alliteration is the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of a word in a text. So for example, on the screen, she sells seashells. Okay, so the beginning sound begins with the sound, and we wrote that with an S. And as you continue, it still focuses on that initial. Here's an important vocabulary word. Initial beginning sound is the same, those same words. School, we use initial. What is the initial sound? And so alliteration, the initial sound begins with the same letter and the same sound. And you may have seen alliteration in nursery rhymes growing up, when you've read poetry, or one of our childhood favorites, tongue twisters, like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. That's definitely a tongue twister, but that's a great example of alliteration. And that's just like that beginning phonological awareness skill, which this helps your child links the sound, which we call phoneme, the sound, and link it to the grapheme, which is the letter. So being able to say and produce that sound, that letter that makes that sound. So this builds those foundational skills. Okay, and the best way that you can help your child with this skill at home is to use your child's name and your family's name, your family member's name. For example, John. And you say, hey, John, let's create a sentence using alliteration. John jumped, because we have to have that j sound, which is represented by the grapheme J. John jumped over the jump rope. So that's a quick and easy way that you can continue to practice at home, building those alliteration skills where the students are identifying letters and sounds within a text. So I put that example for a parent tip. Let's create a sentence with the same beginning sound and letter using blank. So in parentheses, you will use any family name, grandmother, cousin, uncle, brother, sister, and help them build that skill. And I did leave the same example for you. Johnny jumped over the jump rope. Okay, just checking real quick before we move on. See if we had any questions.
Yes. A parent would like for you to please repeat the definition of alliteration.
Okay. The definition to alliteration is the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of a word in a text. And text is book, poetry, tongue twisters, nursery rhymes, the written words, the text. Was that good for? Let me know if you received that definition. Okay, if there's no more questions, we're going to move on to the third component. So I like to review, the second component of phonological awareness. We started with rhyme and noun alliteration, the less complex skill of building a beginning reader. And now we're moving to the second component, which is sentence segmentation. And sentence segmentation helps your child identify the number of words in a sentence to develop oral language and writing. And that's wonderful that you're able to do both of those things with sentence segmentation and that oral language, being able to communicate. And this is why we have the Parent Academy here, because to build that equity and provide those oral language skills to be able to communicate and those writing skills to be able to communicate. And this is a simple activity that can build those skills. The best way to practice the skills is to use wordless books. On the screen, there's example, it's titled Fly, and there's lots of different wordless books out there. And then in the blog that our literacy team will send out, they will recommend great texts that are great for all of these skills that you can be able to read in the blog. If you subscribe, and keep coming back for great learning. And so this is important because as you're sitting with your child, when you're reading at home, you can change one of those books to a wordless books. And when you're retelling the pictures, it's wordless. So your child is using that oral language to retell the story. And sentence segmentation is where, and I like to talk to, young writers and readers. We're going to say our sentence across our hand, right? So for example, if you are sitting there with your child, looking at this wordless picture book, Fly, and your child says, the bird flew in the tree. How many words are in our sentence? Say it across our fingers. The bird flew in the tree. There's 6 words in my sentence. Okay, and then even it builds expression because they may be excited about that. So that sentence would change to an exclamation mark. The bird flew in the tree. So you can model that oral language. You can model how to read with expression to build sentence segmentation for your child to understand how many words are in a sentence. Now, this skill, like I said earlier, it builds oral language. Then it builds your writing. Think about a young writer. When you're asking them to put words on the paper, when they're just acquiring language, they're acquiring letters, sounds, and letter knowledge, we want them to be able to take this this sentence segmentation activity and use it in their writing. So like I said, when they're writing a story or they're writing a sentence and you're like, oh, how can I help my child write a sentence and build oral languages by saying your sentence across the fingers. So if they want to say, oh, mom, dad, I want to write a story. My story, I went to the store to buy candy. Have them say that sentence across their finger. So when they start writing, their first word was, so I went to the store to buy candy. My first word is I. I'm going to write that on my paper. I went. Oh, my second word is went. It holds them accountable of including each word in their sentence on the page. So sentence segmentation is very important to build writing and oral language. And again, this as a tool is very important. You don't have to go out and buy anything. You don't have to print anything. Just have them say it across their hand. So your parent teacher tip is, how many words are in your sentence? Let's say our sentence across our fingers. So that's an important tip to build this skill. And even if going back to rhyming or alliteration, if they're writing a sentence that has rhyme, say the sentence across their finger. If you're having them write a sentence with their family name, with alliteration, with the same initial sound, you're going to have them say it across their fingers. Okay. Is there an opportunity that we have any questions that before we move on? Do you have any questions? Just wanted to check.
I'm checking now.
Okay.
I do not see any new questions. Parents, remember, if something comes to mind as she's teaching us tonight, just drop that question in the Q&A and I'll make sure that she gets it.
Yes, if you need me to clarify anything, elaborate on anything, please drop your comment in the Q&A. All righty, so let's think about our progression of phonological awareness skills. We started with rhyme, alliteration. We've moved to sentence segmentation. As we're moving up the chart, we have syllables now. And this may be like, oh, I never ever knew that. When you're working with consonants, which are the letters that are in black and the vowels that are red, a syllable, another type of phonological awareness skill is syllables. In every word has a syllable. The syllable in every word in the English language is the vowels. So if you see here, mat is a one syllable word. It has one vowel. Then we have two syllable words that have two vowels, one in cup and one in cake. Okay, so that's a two syllable word because of the two vowels. We will go in depth in the syllable types December 1st when we talk about phonics and spelling, because there's 6 different syllable types that your child has to inquire to be able to decode in text, but also build those spelling skills. So come on back December 1st for the phonics and spelling presentation, so you can understand the deeper concept of the syllables. Right now, we're going over that brief just explanation of it because we have a whole hour set aside for that. So when your child is identifying, remember, everything starts off, it's all auditory, but we identify, then we manipulate. Identifying is the easier auditory skill, and that's why everything has a progression. Okay, so first they will identify the syllables in the word, and then here comes that important vocabulary, segmenting and blending. And we start with them identifying the syllables in 2 syllable words, compound words, as we know, like cupcake. And we like to use our hands. And again, you don't have to go buy anything. It's something you can use with your child at home. So I would say, what are the syllables in cupcake? Cup, cake. Just segmented cupcake. One syllable is cup, the second syllable is cake. Now I say blend those syllables together. They're going to put cupcake together to read that whole word. So if I say cup, cake, blend that important vocabulary, and they would say the whole word cupcake. And this is just that vocabulary, understanding what segmenting is and blending is important, and producing the sound and not the letter is also important. Okay, so cup, cake, cupcake. Okay, and so that's something easy you can do at home with different compound words. I made a note for you, that visual of using your hand so they can see that those 2-syllable words, blend the syllables in football, football. And then they will naturally start repeating football and start hearing those for themselves, because when you give them a word like football and they actually have to segment it themselves, that's why we practice where we segment it and they blend it, and then they get the opportunity. I give them the word, or you can give them the word football, and they segment it. So that's that progression. Okay, that progression and understanding syllables, that there's 2-syllable in those 2-syllable words. Okay. And so again, we have a great session on this in December. So come on back for the 6-syllable types and understand how this skill, auditory skill, builds reading and phonics and spelling. Is there any questions? Anyone type anything in a Q&A?
No questions.
All right, thank you. So we're thinking about our chart. We have rhyme and alliteration. Then we move to sentence segmentation. Then we move forward to understanding how many syllables. Remember, syllables are the vowels. How many syllables in a word? And now we've progressed to onset and rhyme. Okay. And onset is the initial phoneme, again, important vocabulary, which is the same word as sound at multiple meaning, phoneme and sound. So if you hear me say phoneme, I'm referring to the sounds in the word. Okay, so that initial phoneme of a word, and the rhyme, the black area here, the initial phoneme is the pink and bake, and the rhyme is the vowel and the consonant letters that follow the onset, that initial phoneme. So most people, and you may have heard this just talking with parents or teachers, we refer to the rhyme as word families. So word families for your child to understand that if you can read bake or spell bake, you can spell bake, cake, fake, take, because the only thing that changes is the onset, but the rhyme stays the same. Okay, and that's what we'll work on, them identifying the onset and then identifying the rhyme, which is the vowel and the consonant letters to follow. Okay, and so for example, it starts with identifying what is the initial sound in bake. This is important. And I always put my hand under my chin, because I want your child, and you can do this, to produce the sound. We don't want to accept the name of the letter, because that's a different skill. We want to accept the sound. So what is the onset in the word bake? Your child should say B, because you're producing a sound, not naming the letter. What is the onset in the word cake? K. Okay, and so that's just an easy a visual I provide for students to help them see that I need the sound instead of them naming the letter. And so everything starts with that progression. We blend it, then we segment it. So once they're able to identify the initial sound, then they're able to, we'll give them the parts, and they're able to put that together. For example, ache. What's the word? Bake. So we blend it, we segment it, and they blend it, and then they will turn around and segment it and give you that whole word. So each skill builds on each other. And, Pig the Pug is a great, text that you can read that's full of rhyming words that you, as you're reading with your child at night, you can say, oh, pig, what is the onset in the word pig. And you can have them recognize those rhyming words, those word family words within the text, and ask that simple question to build their understanding of the onset is just the initial sound that changes, but the rhyme is the same. And so here is your sentence stem. What is the onset of the word blank? And I just want to stop here and take a moment to tell you, like, to build foundational skills, it starts that auditory stage first. And even if you think about a child that has dyslexia, or, you know, we're working through that, and the issue with this child that's dyslexic, they have trouble hearing and manipulating sounds. This is why phonological awareness is a crucial component for every beginning learner. They have to hear it before they can read it, before they can write it. So these simple, quick skills that we're providing you here today can build those foundational skills for all learners K2. Okay, so that's just important. Just wanted to reiterate that this is these are auditory skills. Your child has to hear the sounds before they can read it and write those sounds. 4 questions. All right.
So we do have a question.
Okay.
And the question is, why is rhyme spelled this way in onset and rhyme versus the traditional way that we see rhyme spelled?
Yes. Rhyme, if we go back to thinking about them hearing and identifying that cat and sat rhyme, when it's rhyme, we're talking about the ending sound. Okay, when we're looking at rhyme, it's focused on the ending sound. And when we go to onset and rhyme, it's talking about the word part. So ache is a word part. So we have them drop the b sound and say, hey, what's left? It's the word part ache. And that's why it's spelled different. Rhyming, you think about the ending sound, your word families, but we want to hear that ending sound is the same. It doesn't have to be spelled the same. It has to just, the sound has to be the same at the end. But rhyme, R-I-M-E, is the word part in the word that we know that if we, like I said, if we can write bake and read bake, we can read take, fake, make, and rake. Great question. Thank you for asking that. That's a great question.
Our next question is, and I will understand if you want to defer to our dyslexia team for this, but it says, can you give us signs that a child might be dyslexic? And if we need to refer Annabelle Estrada to one of our dyslexia specialists, we can do that. I can give her that information.
Yes, I think that is the best thing to do. Like I just build those foundational skills for your child, but I'm not a diagnostician, so I couldn't give you those skills. But practicing these auditory skills are important for a child that's dyslexic because the struggle is manipulating sounds. So we build those foundational skills auditory and move and progress. It's a great thing, but I think it's a great idea to refer her.
So Annabelle, I am writing down your information. If you registered under a different name and you want to just privately message me with your information, I'll take it and I can have someone follow up with you. Got it. I'll get your name off of the registration and have someone follow up with you.
Thank you.
And quickly, I want to address one parent asked if we could have this translated into Arabic for our next session. And wow, I love that you are asking that. I will tell you that we will do our best to try and see if we can find an Arabic translator who can join us and see what our Zoom capacity is for multiple rooms to accommodate those additional languages. So I will definitely see if we can accommodate that. Thank you.
All right, parents, we are at the end of our phonological awareness chart. And I want to go over those skills again, starting from the less complex activities. So we had phoneme, we had alliteration and rhyme, Then we moved to sentence segmentation. From sentence segmentation, we was to syllables. From understanding syllables, we progressed to onset rhyme. And now we're at phonemic awareness. Okay, so the overall, all these skills encompass phonological awareness. Each component has its own critical piece that every beginning reader needs. And phonemic awareness is that component, okay? Phonemic awareness, so it changes from all of the other skills we've talked about were word parts. Like I just explained how rhyme, ache was that word part, okay? So it's moving from word parts to phonemic awareness, which is the smallest unit of sounds. So now we're listening and we're producing, listening auditory and producing small units of sound. And I'm going to explain that. And I will briefly go through this complex skill of phonological awareness because we go in depth November 7th. So come back and for that new learning November 7th, don't forget to subscribe for the companion lessons and the blogs and the newsletters. So this, so basically mastering your phonemic awareness skills help your child be able to connect letters, which is sounds, phonemes, to the graphemes, which is the letters. But this time, instead of producing word parts, we're going to go through each component. So our first component is phoneme isolation. Phoneme isolation is that initial sound that your child has to hear first and then produce. Your child will produce the initial sound, which is beginning, the final sound, and then the medial sound. You're probably saying, like, why are we going from beginning, initial sound to final? The medial sound is a lot harder for students to hear. And so like I've told you today, every step has a progression. You want them to have control over hearing and producing the initial sound, then we move to final, and then we come into the medial sound. And it's just simple, tell me the sound. So now it's individual sounds. And again, easy tool your child can use. Tell me the initial sound in ball. They would just b, just that initial sound. So that's that simplest phoneme segmentation, phoneme isolation. I'm sorry about that. Phoneme isolation. And then we're going to progress to blending. And blending is where the small unit of sounds come in, which builds decoding skills and writing unfamiliar words, because every beginning learner starts out phonetically. So they're hearing, saying sounds and writing those sounds. So this is what I would say. Tell me the sounds in zebra. Z, E, B, R, There's 6 sounds. So segmenting, and even our district assessment M class that our K2 students take, that's one of the components that we focus on. So we have an understanding if they are able to blend those sounds and separate those sounds, okay? And then again, everything has a progression. We're progressing to the segmentation, where they're again segmenting those sounds apart and using fingers. They can tap those sounds on a table, anyone, to make sure that you're saying each sound in isolation. So we don't want them to say b-all, b-all. That's that onset rhyme. We want to hear each sound, b-ah, ooh, okay, each small unit of sound. And then we move to addition. A sound will be added to the beginning of a word to make a new word. For example, if I give your child the word axe and I say, please add the sound in front of axe, your child would need to say max. That whole word is max. So that's where you're adding an addition to a word part, and they're adding the initial sound to make the whole word. And then deletion. We're moving into deletion, where your child will take that initial sound away. Everything starts at that initial sound because, again, that progression, they will take the sound away. So if I give your child the word max and I say max without the sound, your child should say axe, because they deleted the and told me what was left. And then the most complex skill of phonemic awareness is substitution. Okay, Your child will substitute, change, like we go back and forth so they can understand the word substitute. So we substitute, change, and help them identify that meaning of those words. And so your child first will change the initial sound, final sound, then medial sound. For example, say the word bat. You want your child to always say the word, repeat you, say the word bat. Change the B sound to P. Change the B sound to P. So your child, the whole word would be pat. Okay. So that's phonemic awareness. Remember, come back November 7th, and I'll be able to go through each area of phonemic awareness in detail to help build our young readers and writers. All right, thank you so much. I know it was a lot of great information, and we have to take it all in. That's why we have all the different components of our parent university to help you and remind you of all these skills I've gone over today. Remember, we have our lesson each month. We have our blog going out. We have the companions each week for you. If you subscribe, we will text those to you. And then the video at the end of the month. I'm so excited to be here with you and glad we're learning together. Thank you for joining us today. And I just want to close with this because
Nicadria, before you
yes.
close, I just want to repeat back the parents. I'm wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anyone. Who asked about the dyslexia signs. I have Annabelle Estrada, Emily Chow, Angela Nelson Vasquez, Selena Valedo, Julie Ta, and Dami Lola. So if I missed you, please just send your name again in the chat so that I can make sure that I get your information and make sure that I have someone follow up with you. Thank you. All right, Nicadria.
I just want to end with this quote because this is just encompass everything that we are here for and why we believe in bridging what we do at school into home and helping you as a parent with these 1-minute activities to build a reader. Today, a reader, and tomorrow is a leader. Equity provides all of that for our students when they have great kinder through 2nd grade foundational skills. So when they move forward to 3rd grade, they are now reading for a meaning and going in depth with comprehension. And that's why we're here today. So thank you so much for joining us. And please, please come back and see us next month.